CV is a brochure. It's not a menu. It's not a menu of skills that I can offer to this company. It's not that. Let's kick it off. So let's start with, how do you write a good product management resume? And a lot of you are probably product managers already, so you might already have a really good PM resume, but not everyone is a PM, and getting into PM requires a very specific set of points and experience and a specific format. So writing a good PM resume, it might actually sound harder than it actually looks, because, well, hiring product managers look at hundreds of CVs every single day for every role that they get. Like, from your perspective, you might think like, my CV is the best CV in the world, of course, but from the perspective of someone that's actually looking at this, like the hiring manager or recruitment or recruiters, or actually when you work in big companies like Amazon, they have hundreds and thousands of CVs. You need to make yours stand out. That is the whole point of the CV. And there's a misconception of CV that it's actually like a list of what you do, but it's not. Look at CV is a brochure. It's not a menu. It's not a menu of skills that I can offer to this company. It's a brochure that talks about yourself with key selling points about why you are the best candidate for the job. And your CV is really a reflection of the value that you stand for as a product manager. And these values are going to have to align to the company's values. And if you're very, very hyper-focused around the FANG companies like Google, Facebook, etc., look at what values they have and then reflect that into your CV, because your CV is a brochure. It's not a menu. So think about things like, high level stuff. Like, how do you summarize information at a high level? You want to reflect that into your brochure. You want to know your audience, right? Because that's what a product manager does, right? Knowing the customer. Who is your audience? You want to reflect that and show that into your CV. And also appreciate user experience. That's a key one too. You want to show that into your CV. And your CV is only relevant for the product industry as well. So if you got a, say, engineering CV or a BA CV or a design CV, they're not the right CV for the product industry. Same thing as you were creating a brochure, right? You don't create the same a software brochure for a hardware company, right? They're very, very different. So you need to create a specific CV for a specific product manager job. And to do that really well, here are 3 principles or 3 mindsets that you should keep in the back of your mind. Think about this. There's a 15-second rule. So when you're actually reading a CV, you should be able to glance over it in about 15 seconds. That's basically how long a recruiter or hiring manager takes to read your CV. You think people are going to flick through pages, but it's not. No one's going to do that. I've same thing when I hire my candidates. If I can't read a CV within 15 seconds, I don't even contact them, because it's a reflection of the brand. And if they don't understand how to structure a CV, then it tells a lot about the candidate. Also, it needs to be achievement and outcome focused. And this is the biggest difference between a business-focused CV and a technical CV. Technical CV is about the skill sets, about what I can do, right? I can do Java, I can do PHP, I can do Python, right? And you're showcasing the skill, the menu of jack of all trades that you are. But in business CV, it's about how much money can I make for my company, right? It's about showcasing the outcomes that you produce. And that's what it is. It's not about talking about what you do. It's about talking about what you have achieved. And that's the biggest shift in mindset. The third thing is crisp. I've got to be crisp and clean, because UX is a key factor in a product manager's role. So let's dive a little bit deeper into what does a 15-second rule means. And you want to actually keep your CV to 2 to 3 pages max. First page should really be a summary of you. One glance, exactly what's your value proposition, what do you do? And then the second thing is you want to highlight your business, your planning, analytical skills, all that stuff up front. Third page is about the detailed experience. Any details that people want to find out. If you've got experience around your product, around what you do, don't include every single thing that you've done. Only include the top 4 to 5 bullet points per experience. That's more than enough. And you want to break up the points and avoid cognitive load. And also, you don't need to go too far back if you got 20 years of working experience. Focus on just the first 5 to 10 years of your experience. That is enough for your CV. Avoid these mistakes if you can. Again, write everything that you've done in your CV. So don't do that. Just write 4 to 5 top bullet points relevant for the job that you're applying. And also, again, look at the job description and see what skill sets they're looking for, and then include that into your CV. And don't ever write paragraphs to explain your points, because paragraph adds cognitive load and no one's going to read that. It's too confusing. point forms. So don't do paragraphs unless your paragraph is for your professional summary. And also you want to write with the job description in mind. So usually what I do is I have the job description here, and then I'll customize my CV on the right-hand side based on job description. And also don't just write, this point is don't just write your job description, write the outcome. Don't include too many titles as well. If you transition across multiple jobs in your past, customize it to the story that you want to tell. What type of story you want to perceive, you want to tell for your CV, and then you can customize the title for that. And also don't expect people to read it because they don't. They only spend about 15 seconds. The next thing is you want to figure out, well, what's an achievement focused CV, right? So people don't really care about what you were told to do. They only care about what you've achieved. This is my example for my CV. So we built the Society One application form, and I put a bracket to explain, well, what's an application form? Well, it's a checkout funnel, right? Checkout funnel and increased conversion rate by this much % in 3 months. So that's an outcome, right? That's something that I've achieved. And the second thing is we built the customer portal in 3 months and reduced calls to call center by 30% month to month. That's an outcome. And the last one is launched Airtasker mobile app and drove 10K downloads per the first week. And I know a lot of the time getting metrics like this is actually pretty hard in your company. But what I'll suggest is have a look at the current analytics and see if you can get some inference on the data. You don't have to be exactly right. Like, it's probably not 220%. It's probably like, 200% or maybe 215. You don't have to be exactly right, but include a figure in there if you can. And also try to avoid exact numbers like money, right? Don't put we made $5 million. Don't do that because that's giving away company secrets. You want to actually just keep it to high level public data that you can actually get yourself. And if you don't have a lot of the product side, that's okay. Include the projects that you worked on. So launch this project, achieve this much for my company, and so on. What are some things that you should include into your product CV? First thing is include things around business strategy. Any type of business strategy work that you've done. Think through projects that you worked on, projects that you've been involved in. Think through some examples of this. Have you ever done examples of where you carry out user and market research? Second thing is anything that you've done around providing strategic vision for the business or recommendations for the business. Include that. Anything that you've done around building roadmaps. It doesn't have to be a product roadmap. It could be like one of the students in the past, like, your QA roadmap or your design roadmap. Anything around road mapping using data. So that's another thing you want to include as well. Anything around business case negotiation, anything that is around problems that you're solving for the business. And those are the 5 key things you want to think about back into your career and say, what have I done? And it could be just one little tiny event. And that's okay because it's about the outcome, not about the work that you do. Same thing, Agile. So you want to go back and think about what have you done in Kanban or Scrum or where you've done a product owner role. And in the Agile class, we talked about, the person that is playing the role doesn't have to have the title of a product manager, right? Because you could just be managing a backlog. You could be just prioritizing things. Also, think about how you've managed a backlog and prioritize a backlog with the team. And if you come from, let's say, a business analyst background or a design background or a tech background, I'm sure you've done work that's around prioritizing for your team or for your work. And also think about how you deliver a project as well. And include examples of leadership. Highlight anything that you've done to rally a team together to solve a problem. Doesn't have to be a product that you created, but what about a business improvement that you've done, a process that you've improved? Maybe like improving the culture of a company, and also highlighting anything around the trust formula, right? Anything that you've done to build credibility within your team, anything that you've done, demonstrated consistency, anything that you've demonstrated intimacy with your team. So go back to the trust formula, bring out information around that. Highlight those things into your CV. And design as well. So you want to highlight anything that is within UX design, anything that empathizes with the customer, anything that allows you to talk about user research, any involvement in creating wireframes, any involvement in supporting customers and the inquiries where you talk to customers directly. So yeah, those are 4 areas that you must include. Pull out the job description that has been put up by the hiring manager and look through the job description and think about these 4 points that will answer the job description. If you need some inspiration, here's some jargon to get you started. So you want to use words like design words, right? A/B testing, design, research, design sprint, scope, personas and user requirements, user stories, and UX UI, wireframe. So these are some key design jargons that you want to put into your CV. Also, you want to include some marketing jargon, so like things around conversion, jobs to be done, outcome. I won't go through these. You can go through the deck later, but basically these is all the jargons that you can include. And also you want to include some product jargon as well. So agile, business case, planning. So include product jargons, design jargons, and marketing jargons. That's going to help you start thinking about what type of experience that you want to bring in to your CV. And if you're ever stuck on writing out outcomes for your CV, then what you want to do is you want to lead with an action verb: led, consulted, researched, or delivered. So start with the action verb, add a quantifiable accomplishment, and then end with the timeline. So that's basically a formula of how you write outcomes into your CV. So once you have some really good points within your CV, you want to figure out a really good way to structure these points. Clean and crisp is a key aspect in any type of product CV, because hiring product managers look at heaps of CVs every single day, and you want yours to actually stand out and be as simple for them to read as much as possible. You also want to leave out some white spaces so it's not overwhelming, and you don't need to include any pictures as well. No pictures are required in Australian CVs, maybe sometimes in the US, but not so much in Australian CVs. Keep it to colors as well. Don't use red, but black and white or blue and white. So example of what not a good CV is: don't do this, this is too much. When it's too fancy, you just look like a noob. So no fancy stuff. Keep it as structure and as simple as you can. So simple is actually good in this case. This is basically the standard Google Docs template that you see, and use this because it works. And to beat the bots as well. Bots are a key thing in big companies like Google, Facebook, and all the FANGs. They all have this thing called the application tracking systems, the ATS bots. But if you're applying for a startup, probably they don't have an ATS. So you can actually don't have to beat the bots. But what I'll do is I'll err on the side of safety and just figure out how can I beat the bots, because they're looking for specific keywords. What you should do is read the job description, because that's where all the keywords are going to come. You want to weave in all the keywords in your JD into your resume. You want to do it on your first page as well, because that's where the bots are usually scanning first. Don't put it on the second page. Avoid using acronyms unless it's well known, like app or UX or HTML, right? These are well known acronyms that we all know. Then yes, include it, but avoid any other type of acronyms. So you can do it the way that I do it, which is create a sentence and just weave keywords into the sentence. And this is the way that I recommend to do. It's a little bit harder, but I recommend doing this. There's another way to do this too. You can put it in the table, it goes business, and then put the skills in there too. And then don't spam keywords. Don't use images, symbols, or emojis. Don't use jargons that only your companies will know. Don't do this. You might beat the bots, but you won't beat the humans at the end. Here are some tools and websites that you can actually use to create CVs. So Canva, great tool. You can go there and you can download some really good Canva templates. What I do is I go to Canva, I'd create a template, but then I'd download it as a Word document, and then I'll edit it in Word. I don't really use the Canva tool to edit my document. It doesn't have spell check, and you can't create multiple pages and so on. And then resume.io is a really great tool for you to create resumes, because it's just so easy. It's absolutely worth your investment. Google Docs, MS Docs, got some good templates there. And you can also ask your friends, and also you can join Slack channels as well. There's a new way to see what everyone else is doing with the template. There's another product Slack channels out there, so you can see what people are sending out as resumes. And you want to have a look at what they do, because those are the people that you're competing with, and see what they do, and then figure out a template that works for you.